Hello, and welcome to our program. This is the Porch Ideas Network with your host, Dave and Mary Morris.
Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mary.
Welcome to our audio program featuring experts and fellow porch lovers who share tips for creating a fantastic porch and yard.
We are very excited to have you on our porch today, so let's get right to our topic. Today we're going to talk about how to extend a small porch or portico. So Dave, we receive a lot of questions from people who have small porches or porticos, and they often ask how they can extend it so that they can enjoy the benefits of a larger porch space.
Yeah, we get lots of questions on this.
It's a common question, and a lot of people just don't realize that they do have options, and some of them they probably have not considered yet. So maybe let's talk a little bit about what are some of the things that prevent people from having a porch.
Well, probably the first thing that keeps us from having a porch or a larger porch is the architecture of the home itself. And a lot of homes just don't lend itself, the design doesn't lend itself to being able to have that space. And a lot of times it's because you have adjoining roofs. You may have two gable-style roofs coming together over the door, or a low-sloping roof where you don't have enough room. You don't have enough room, and by code, you can't extend it with a flat roof. Probably the only thing that would work would be a shed-type roof, a flat roof. And depending on where you live, a lot of codes don't allow you to do that. The other thing that stops people from being able to have a porch is the placement of the second-story windows.
Oh, I know what you mean.
So depending on where they're located and how far down the wall they are on the outside and the front of the house, there's not enough room to put a roof under that. Because you have to remember, the wider your porch, or the more depth you have in your porch, the longer your roof has to be.
Okay.
And your roof has to adhere to certain code requirements for its slope, or rise and run. So a lot of times there just isn't enough space for that. That prevents you from doing it.
And probably, I don't know if this is true or not, but is it true then in the north they might have to have a little bit more slope?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you live in northern states, rise and run is going to be minimum. Sometimes it's going to be rise and run. 12.4, the pitch of the roof 12.4, 12.5, depending on where you live. And that's because of the capacity to carry the load, the snow. Snow has to be able to melt off of it. So for that now, here in Middle Tennessee, I think we have a 12.3. We can go down to 12.3.
It doesn't have to be as steep.
Right? It doesn't have to be very steep. We don't get that much snow. So that, and you might have some homeowner association rules.
Oh, no.
Yeah, good old homeowners
How can a homeowner association not want you to have a porch?
Well, sometimes it just depends on how it's set up and how much space you have in front of your home and what you can do. So
like the
same
thing
with
from how much room you have to the street.
Same thing, codes or easements might not be able to. Our house in New Hampshire, we lived there. There was 50 feet easement. You couldn't build within 50 feet of the street.
That's right.
And usually when they do that, the house is built just to that limit. So there's no way you can put any extension on that to the front. So that automatically rules that out.
So if you do have those kind of restrictions from your HOA, then does that mean you don't have any options at all? You can just forget about it?
No, just the contrary. As long as your structure is not directly attached to your house, then it's not part of your house and doesn't fall within those codes 99% of the time. You can do something else, which we're going to talk about what you can do. But as long as your structure is not attached to the house, then you're 9 times out of 10 you're safe. You need to check, but normally that's the way it is.
Okay, well that's good news. I was worried. Good. If someone is able to, add to the front of their home, what kind of options do they have?
Okay, well they have more than they think, and if you're faced with one of the restrictions we just talked about, there's a way to get around that. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But first, there's 3 basic ways that you can extend your porch. One is to build a brand new porch. We have some friends that actually had a long country-style homes, 2-story, a long porch on it, but it was one of those where the porch was the depth of it was only 4 feet.
And that's not very deep.
No, you put one chair, you can't get around it. It's really not functional. It was they're built for aesthetics and not for to be functional. So it
beats not having a porch.
Well, it beats not having it. But so they took that whole porch off, and they had a new porch built on. They moved it out to 9 feet of depth, which is just really great.
Wonderful.
And so they were able to do that. Now, their window placement for second story, fortunately, if they lived in the northern states, it wouldn't have worked because it was too low. Because we can do it here, they will put a wider roof on that porch, and so the pitch was fine. And now they have this beautiful, long, beautiful porch the kids play on. The second way to do it is to add to an existing porch. Now we had friends of ours. Remember, they turned their garage into a room.
To living space.
To living space, and so what they did is they just extended their porch across the front of the home, in the front of that garage, and they put a pergola-style roof over that section of it. So they just extended it right on over. And so, taking the same considerations we just talked about, your roof pitch and those kinds of things you have to be concerned with. But it's more cost-effective than turning a whole porch off and building a new one. Now, building a new porch, just going back a step, building a new porch is very costly. To do that porch that we're talking about earlier, where they expanded to 9 feet, that was, I think it was like a $15,000 project for the porch.
And that's
so it
a
can
pretty
get
good
expensive.
chunk.
It is. So now adding to an existing porch won't cost as much as tearing it off and doing a new one.
So what other options might someone choose when they do have the issue of space or cost or codes? Do they have any, leeway?
Yeah, they really do have a neat option, and one I really like a lot. And this is a lot of people, when we respond to people with this idea, when they ask us about what can I do, because I've tried everything else and nothing's working, is we say, well, consider a patio porch. And a patio porch is nothing more than an area. It can be to either side of your existing porch or even in front of it, or it can be even separated from your porch. And we'll talk about that as we go through here. To have an area where you can set up just like a porch, but basically it's a patio area. So we call it a patio porch. And it's really can be inexpensive compared to the other options. And you can make it as elaborate or simple as you want to. It can be a easy do-it-yourself project for that, and you can either cover it or not cover it.
Well, and if you wanted to have a covered porch, like if you already had a covered porch, but you wanted to extend it with the patio porch, then you could have it uncovered, and because some people do like being out in the sun. Yeah,
we're gonna address that as we go along here about the function of the porch and how you want to use that.
So when you want to construct a patio-style porch like you're talking about, what are some things people need to consider before they begin?
Well, first thing you do is you have to find a suitable area for the porch, that patio area itself, whether it's in the front or to the side. And so you have to look at, we just had a case here recently where we had some folks that wrote to us and sent us a picture, and they had a ranch home, and it was L-shaped. In other words, the garage was in the front of the house on one end, and they had a ranch style home, and so basically you'd pull up the driveway and walk around the side of the garage into their front door along the walkway.
Okay, I
and then
see.
they had that, and the door was underneath the eaves of the porch, and so there was just no way, because you had two gable roofs coming together, and there really isn't a good way to have a porch extended over that area. It just doesn't work very well. The only thing that would work probably is a shed type roof or a flat roof, basically, and they just, because of the windows where they were, there's no way to do that. Now that's typical of many homes that we see. So what they had across the front of their house was they had a door on the left side, they had a picture window, and then they had a space to the right. And so what they've been doing was trying to figure out how to make this roof work so they could have a porch.
Okay.
So what we said is when I came back then with a suggestion, this area to the right, all the way over to the right side of their house, away from the front door, was an excellent space for a patio porch. And it solved a couple problems. One, it gave them an area, outdoor space, and they could decorate it and have it just like a porch.
And that's
and
nice.
Number two, without having the roof over that picture window, they're not blocking the light going to their house.
Oh, because that does make a difference.
Because it had low slope,
Yeah.
it would have blocked, if they had put a porch over that area, it would have been completely dark inside. So you got to watch for that. You got to consider that too, based on the style of your home. So what we did is I gave them the idea to construct the patio porch on the other side and create a really nice walkway over to it from their front door and sidewalk over to that.
I can picture that.
Oh yeah, it was a perfect spot for it. And what they would have to do, though, is like a lot of people, especially if you've been in your house for a while, is you have lots of shrubs and things in front of your house.
Oh.
and the one thing we talk about location is, a lot of times, and what these folks had told us, that they actually put the chairs in the shrubs and things to see how it would all work. You've got to divorce yourself from your landscape when you're looking to put a patio porch in. Redo your landscape, so you can take that out, do your patio porch, and then re-landscape it around the patio.
That would give it a fresh look.
That gives it a fresh look, and it allows you to envision what it could be, not exactly what it is. So, and again, you don't have to be adjacent to your front door to do this. Now, if it works, if you do have a space there, that works really great. So that's one thing. Flat areas work best, but you can, if you're on a hillside, you can do a retaining wall for part of that.
And that would be a little
For
bit
the
more
patio.
expensive.
It would
but
add to the
doable.
cost, but it's doable, especially if your yard slopes off to one side. You probably have to do that. And then you need to decide the size of the area you need. Is it just going to be for relaxing, for a glider or a chair, or are you going to have? Do you want to entertain? Do you want to have neighbors come over and sit down and have a nice glass of wine out there in the front of your home?
And it's a good idea to decide that from the beginning.
Oh, these are things that you really need to take into account before you even start. Is what size do you want this to be? Now, obviously, the larger it is, the more expense you're going to have.
Sure.
So if the cost is an issue, you need to consider that. And then, is it going to be more for curb appeal or more functional, like we were saying before? How are you going to use this porch? And then you also want to consider how you get to it. A lot of times
you have a lot of considerations.
Well, there are. Yeah, you have to think about these things before you start.
That's
okay. If you have a portico or a small porch, really small porch, and you have steps 3 or 4, 5, 6 steps leading up to it.
Right.
And you have a patio porch beside it. How do you get to the patio porch? So plan for your walkways, your access to that.
Sure.
And that can be done lots of different ways, and we have pictures and ideas on our site.
Like, for example,
about that,
you might want steps going down the side of your porch.
That's right. You
might
want to extend it from the side. Exactly.
Okay.
So you have to consider where those steps are going to be and how you're going to get to that. And one of the biggest considerations is whether you want to cover this or not cover it.
I want it covered.
Or you want to cover it. So now, what's nice about a patio porch is it doesn't matter what your other roof is on your home, because you have some options here. A lot of people do a patio porch, or what we call the patio porch, and what they do is they put a pergola over it. So you can either attach the pergola to your roof, or you can do a standalone. Now, doing a standalone gives you lots of options, because now you're not tying anything to your home. So you can do a pergola porch, and those are really nice. It's less expensive than doing a whole roof over it. And you still be able to hang. You can hang an outdoor fan. You can hang a swing from it.
Oh, hanging baskets.
Hanging baskets. You can do all those kinds of it. And pergola porch roof is fairly easy to construct.
I think that's what our friend Jamie did on her porch extension.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Their garage.
And it works really well. And it looks really attractive. And there's all kinds of different pergola roofs that you can do.
I like that idea.
So it works really well. The other option is to extend your roof over the porch if you can. From your existing porch, you can extend the roof. Your existing roof over that, and that depends on the slope of your roof that you have now. You can actually do that and extend that out over it. So you do have some options there for putting a roof over it.
Very good.
And the last thing, or one of the last things, there's other ones, but one of the other last major ones is, what are you going to make your patio porch out of? What are you going to use? You're going to use pavers. You're going to do cement pad, brick, stone. What we like is using ground cover between pavers or stones to give it a more natural look.
Oh, and that looks really nice, like ground cover that you can actually walk on then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that would look pretty, and that gives you more options than just plain concrete.
Don't give up on concrete, though, because with a cement concrete pad, you can stain it or stamp it.
That's
and create
true.
some beautiful looks out of that.
There are some beautiful
So you
finishes.
can actually use concrete to your advantage in those cases, too.
That's true.
So for that, and you can use that same thing for your sidewalk or whatever access to that.
Well, so that kind of leads into my next question. So how hard is it to construct a patio porch?
It's if you've done anything at all, it's fairly easy. It's definitely a do-it-yourself project, except for perhaps the roof. And if you're not familiar with structures building over your head, roofs and pergolas, those things, you might want to get help with that if you've never done that before. But other than that, the patio areas is you can do that very simply. You just need basic tools. Here in Middle Tennessee, we need a pick because we have a lot of rock.
We have so much rock.
But we lived up north and didn't have to do that. But basically, you just need some basic tools. You're going to lay out your area. You're going to remove the grass, landscape area from it. You're going to dig down so you can create either a stone or sand base for your pavers or whatever your material you're using for that. And basically, it's laying in a patio. And there's lots of information on that on our site, too, how to do that.
You might need a good neighbor to help you.
Yeah, you might find a good neighbor to help you. Or a really good neighbor, maybe they'll do it, and you just watch. So
that's a really good neighbor.
Yeah, one time we lived somewhere we had something like that happen.
We did that.
We won't go into that right now.
No.
But and then the pergola roof, that you may need a little help with.
I could see that.
But basically, it's not that difficult to do a pergola roof. And then probably if you're going to do a roof extension, you probably need to bring in an expert to help with that to make sure it's to code.
So it could be a combination do-it-yourself project and hiring somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can
It's really
cut
easy
your
to
costs
do.
that way. Being that a patio porch is kind of out in the open, are there ways that you can think of to kind of create a sense of privacy?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question because it is out there, and you can do that easy ways through landscape, depending how you want to use your porch. And you had mentioned earlier about this having a patio porch kind of makes, if you have a covered porch and a patio porch together, makes the best of both worlds. Part of it covered, part of it uncovered. You can watch the stars, or you can go, if you have a part of it's covered, that's fine.
Yes.
So for that. But for privacy, you can do lots of things with landscaping and hardscaping to create that. And maybe part of it you want private and part of it you want a little bit more open.
I remember in one of the neighborhoods that we've walked around in our area where we live is when people put wisteria on their pergola.
They do a trellis kind of thing.
Like a trellis.
And it comes over the pergola too.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It smells great too. So there's lots of ways to do that. You can use.
You could also do curtains, I bet.
You could, if you have a roof, a pergola or other roof, then you can do curtains, which are great for that. So you just have lots of options for that. But basically, for privacy, you can do it with trellises. You can do it with some lattice work. You can do it with some hardscaping, those kinds of things to create that sense of a porch.
So you're painting a picture of a really nice outdoor space by the time you're done.
Yes, very, very nice.
And so you can use it very similar to how you would a porch, right?
Yep.
Like furniture. We're talking about putting furniture out there, right?
Same kinds of things, and based on how you want to do it. Like we said earlier, you can hang the porch swing. If you have a pergola,
hang the porch swing.
You have a glider on there. You can have outdoor lamps. You can just do whatever you do on a porch. You can basically do it in this area, depending on how you structured it.
If you had a pergola or a covered roof, or a regular roof, I could see hanging some twinkly lights.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all about those.
Yeah, a
little bit of ambiance.
Start doing. But so the idea of the patio porch, what we call a patio porch, just works well. And there's just so many ways you can extend that porch space and extend your outdoor time, add appeal, and add value to your home. And so we encourage you to, we have photos of patio porches, and some are really beautiful spaces that they've created.
Ones that we've taken
with pictures
photographs of
and stuff.
ourselves.
And so more ideas for what you can do with a patio porch on our site, porchideas.com.
Well, this was a great conversation, and I hope everyone's learned a lot. So we just want to thank you for listening, and we will see you on the porch. Today's show was brought to you by porchideas.com, and we hope you stop by to get ideas for designing, building, and decorating your porch.
You have been listening to the Porch Ideas Network. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast to get creative and innovative ideas for your porch and yard.